Jai Jagannath. It's indeed a blessing to have with us Swami Swaroopananda Ji, the head of Chinmaya Mission worldwide. As an adolescent, Swamiji met the master of Vedanta, Swami Chinmayananda, and was hugely inspired. He was initiated into the monastic order in 1992. Since then, he has touched thousands of lives across the world, traversing countries and continents. Among the well-known institutes he has been invited to speak at are the Ford Corporation, London Business School and Harvard University, to name just a few. His tremendous work in bringing out the essential wisdom and underlying unity of all religions is incomparable. Welcome, sir, to RSTV.
Thank you very much.
So my first question. Sir, tell us a little bit about your early life and your tryst with Swami Chinmayananda, which kind of transformed you completely.
I wonder sometimes when this relationship between the Guru and Shishya starts. I thought it was after college when I read his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita that inspired me so much and found it to be so relevant and to answer all my life's questions, that I probably got introduced to his name and his work. It was only after that that I got to listen to his, absolutely, as we were discussing earlier, his absolutely dynamic, energizing, wisdomful discourses, and see his work, around the world, especially from the most remote rural villages to the most profound educating universities of the world.
Right.
So I got definitely very inspired by him, and that was the main thing that I, looking at his work, decided to join the monastic order and join the Chinmaya Mission. But when I look back, it seems that from my very birth, he's guiding me. I was born in a, in a clinic. The doctor was an ardent devotee of Swami Chinmayananda.
Oh, really?
Grew up reading his books, which I had no idea that I was reading, and influenced by the values that I got out of it. My first book as a youngster that inspired me into thinking logically about what is the essence of all the teachings and religion, spirituality, etc. Again, was written by one of his disciples.
Really?
So to say when did it start, I really don't know.
So can you share with us the moment or the moments when you first met Swamiji?
I actually went to listen to his discourse, and my father insisted me to go with him. He was trying to convince a youngster, not knowing that I was already reading his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, which I found in his office only. And he knew I was interested, but convincing a 20-year-old or 19-year-old to go and listen to a spiritual discourse, and especially when you come from India.
Rather difficult.
Sadhu Babas are, So I was asked to, he made me sit down. He said, I've always told you a good thing, try it out. If it's not for you, it's fine. And he told me that here's a man, there's no mumbo jumbo, there's no blind belief, there's no, according to him, his was there's no nonsense. And a person who's no doubt the most eloquent orator that you will ever hear, a most wise teacher that you can hear, at the same time a very strict disciplinarian.
Correct.
You can hear a needle drop, if you can say, or even that you wouldn't be allowed to drop. That's how. And he said that you must listen to him. And that's how I went to listen to him for the first time. And anyone who does listen to him, it was just like such wisdom. It's just every question that I had
was answered.
Answered at that moment.
I had the fortune of listening to Swamiji, and all I can say is that in terms of content, in terms of eloquence, in terms of expression, in terms of wisdom, he's absolutely matchless.
That's true.
So after being inducted into the order, how has been your journey so far?
Well, I can say I used to get a very bad remark in school, when I was in school, from my kindergarten to my 4th standard, there's one bad remark I used to get, and that's not being too talkative, but too quiet. And today I speak about 18 hours a day non-stop. And that famous shloka that says, Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim. By whose grace a dumb person can start speaking and a lame person can start walking. Fits me completely.
So, can you share with us the mission and vision of the Chinmaya mission?
Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda started this whole mission with that vision that we've got such a great spiritual knowledge tradition in India. And we had become slaves for so many years. We had stopped even respecting our own tradition, knowledge system, even during his time. This is about, almost 90 years ago, when he was a kid, grew up in the modern education. As usual, we grew up not really respecting our traditions, our own heritage, our own history. And naturally, then we are just trying to ape, follow, whatever we find attractive. He himself was a very skeptic youngster, was searching for life's questions. He had seen the partition. He was quite dissuaded. And as he very often says, that he went to the Himalayas to find out that how do all these religious people hoodwink the people. But then he met great masters like Swami Shivananda Maharaj and such a great renunciate like Swami Taponji Maharaj. And having gained this knowledge, his heart literally bled for his country. And he's sitting on the banks of the river Ganga, thought that my people don't even know their heritage. They don't know the greatness of this knowledge. And that's how he planned this Gyan Yagyas, to take this knowledge beyond all caste, creed, limitations of qualifications. And how many people would come to the Himalayas and go through those very, very difficult austerities. So he came down from the Himalayas, and from his very first talk in Pune on 31st December 1951, he attracted thousands of people, showing to the spiritual world also.
That's incredible.
That people are not useless. They've not been given an opportunity. And he brought this highest knowledge of Vedanta to the masses. And today, from the Bal Vihar classes we have around the world, the Yuva Kendra, the youth classes that we have, study groups where you don't just listen, but you discuss and get to know the depth of your knowledge traditions, and to live it. And with that, be able to serve. And that vision he brought, because Vedanta is only the knowledge that gives you the knowledge of self. And this knowledge of oneself, to see the self in the other, is that only that can bring about love, harmony, peace in the society. And at the same time, when we work with such synergy, such unity, prosperity is guaranteed.
Correct.
And this is so beautifully explained in the Bhagavad Gita. And therefore he carried the Bhagavad Gita to every city possible. So that we come to know that religion, spirituality, these are not things for going to the caves. As the Gita points out, it's to be learned in the marketplace of the world.
They are in the here and now.
Where you face the challenges of your life.
Right, daily life.
And without this knowledge, even to face, even today, simple thing as parenting, which we expect would come naturally, even that has to be learned. And all these principles, ideas, philosophy, psychology that is there in our scriptures, to be able to bring it to everyone, without any distinction. That's what he did, because it's the knowledge only that really gives us the inner happiness by which we are ever ready to spread this happiness to others.
So beautifully explained, sir. So beautifully explained, Swamiji. I have come to know that the Chinmaya University has been started 2 years ago with this kind of an objective or mission. So could you explain about that?
Again, this is his great grand vision, knowing that children in the education system and at home also are no longer getting culture, and the pride for their knowledge, traditions, the values and the culture in which they can live those values. Started about almost 80, 90 vidyalayas in the country in which value-based education is given.
That's so important.
Not just value education parallel, because most people today, values, spirituality, religion is something that you take parallelly with your so-called material life.
Right.
But when we can educate our children through the various subjects with the right values, it integrates with their life, integrates to build their character. So such value-based schools, and therefore we started in that the vision program that not only we inculcate in our schools, but even inculcate or encourage many schools to take up these value-based programs, because that has brought the success of our school without even any extra effort. We have certain colleges also, but he had planned that we should have a university where modern education will be given so that people can fit into any profession whatsoever, but at the same time they will get a good grounding in the knowledge of Sanskrit and our Indian knowledge traditions. You lose a language, you lose a culture.
Absolutely.
You lose a culture, you actually lose a certain way of thinking.
Right.
Today, even the world is recognizing, if you go to the top universities in the world, they're talking about that we have created through our education system basically clones. This is their feedback to us. They're basically clones. Everybody is thinking in the same direction. Everybody's thinking alike. So when you talk about out-of-the-box thinking, today we don't just want an out-of-the-box thinking. We want disruptive thinkers. The West always likes dramatic names. So we want disruptive thinkers that will break systems today that are not working and bring such innovation into the system. Now, this way of thinking, multifaceted way of thinking, having lost the Sanskrit language, we have lost a way of thinking, really speaking. The people are just talking about languages, old languages, dead languages, not usable languages. But each day in the world, we are losing so many dialects, so many languages, with which not only we lose their knowledge, traditions, their culture, their psychology or their psyche itself. Having lost that, we do not even know that even now we have got such wonderful knowledge traditions, though we are almost at the brink of extinction, that we could combine that knowledge with our modern discoveries. And in modern society also we've discovered many wonderful things. We can look back in pride and say, oh, this was also there in the Mahabharata.
Yeah, precisely.
But what was that thinking that brought about 5,000 years ago or 7,000 years ago much larger sciences, or deeper sciences, knowledge of management, astrology, astronomy, cosmology, architecture. We look at the architecture that still exists in our country. We don't need any other evidence to know what knowledge systems must have existed to create such feats of such beauty, art,
stuff.
And all that. Right. And so many of our things that are so commonly available in our culture, like home remedies. Even the simple thing that, if you have a cough and a cold, you don't need antibiotics that actually takes away your immune system.
True.
How you can just make one tulsi kada.
I was about to say that. Kada, and drink it up and then it's okay.
And you're fine. And I still do it personally myself. And there are such remedies available. And one by one we are destroying our forests. Because we don't see any value for it except to make money out of timber. We do not replant trees. Natural forests are gone. Our foliage is gone. Our herbs are gone. And if you have to save the rich heritage and sciences of the country, by which it has to be a holistic, complete. It's not just studying Ayurveda in a college and not knowing how to select a herb.
Absolutely.
So his vision was that we have a university where, in the modern manner, you have the Indian knowledge traditions
Yeah.
given. Sadly enough, we are almost at the point of extinction. Yeah? In fact, there's more appreciation in the West about this knowledge
True.
systems,
True.
but they may not, and as they have told me personally, that they do not have the mindset or the knowledge, even though they have studied Sanskrit,
Yeah.
to be able to understand. They say, we see the formulas and they work. They said Indians have got formulas that even a child can do the most complicated calculation with it, that computers of those times, which I'd learned in Columbia University itself, that computers of those times would take hours to calculate. But they said, we do not know how did the Indians get it. We do not know the procedure by which they got it. Because they're so procedure oriented.
Yeah.
But there are learning techniques that we of course use in our spiritual learning that actually teaches us to learn in different manners. And actually all that has been to a great extent lost. To be able to bring up these knowledge traditions and create teachers, academicians, professionals in every field possible that can bring this knowledge tradition to enrich our future. Yeah? Why lose what we have got from the past?
Correct.
Yes, in the present also we are discovering, but why rediscover the wheel?
Again and again.
Again and again, and keep going back back forward, not really taking that quantum leap into the future.
Yeah, that's an awesome vision, sir. Awesome. So here I would like to just elaborate on a small issue. You've talked about spirituality. Now in Odisha, this is the land of Lord Jagannath, and we have this Jagannath culture. So I have been doing a little bit of research on that, and then I've realized that it is not simply a culture, it's not a religion, it's not a faith, it's not a dogma. In fact, all these religions and faith and dogma can be found immersed in this Jagannath consciousness. It is so huge, it's a way of life. For example, I'll just give you a couple of examples. For instance, in Jagannath temple, the deities are of 3 different colors, black, yellow and white. And the 3 races on planet Earth are of 3 different colors, black, yellow and white. So the entire universe is found in this one single temple. Then usually what happens is the Lord is with his consort or his wife. This is the only temple where he is with his brother and sister. So you have the celebration of family values. And as far as the 3 deities, 3 different colors, you have the celebration of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. There is a festival which is observed here called Margasira Guruvar Puja. That celebrates empowerment of women. So all these things are very much there with us, sir. They are part of our culture, they are part of our tradition, they are part of our heritage. How can we introduce our younger generation, our youth, to this spirituality?
See, first of all, we must bring about an adoration, a respect, and make them recognize the value of these knowledge systems, which we do in our children and youth. There's a constant onslaught about these wonderful books of knowledge, only brushed off as religious books, books of beliefs. None of them. Neither even Ramayana, neither Mahabharata, right? Nor any of our saints' literature is something which requires any form of blind belief or superstitions. This was not the creed of India, which together is all called as Hinduism today. But it was not the creed of India. It's a knowledge-based society where various traditions, various ways of thinking were given freedom to point out to us how best we can utilize this life to make it productive, to make society a progressive society, and at the same time to reach those spiritual heights for which we consciously or unconsciously at this moment strive for. Correct. To attain that infinitude within ourselves, to release that potential from ourselves. And therefore everything was geared towards that. That's the basis of all our. Now over a period of time, or as much as people are kind of told that this is how, this is bad, this is how we have even started, believing and practicing also. But otherwise, each of our practices are grounded in some very solid knowledge base, logic, as well as direct experience.
So the self-development course which you have conceived called Make It Happen has been adopted by several corporate organizations. So could you tell us what exactly is this Make It Happen course?
See, our Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda had always told us that this knowledge applies to us, as Shri Krishna has pointed out in the Bhagavad Gita, in every field of our life. But very often, people in the material world, they want some even meditation only for good health, or just supposed to give me great success. So, like one person came up to me and he said, "I hate these people who do meditation courses." So I said, "What happened?" He said, "This man did meditation. Now he comes to the office and does meditation, and I have to do his work." So I said, "Actually, it's very nice. So when it comes to collecting the paycheck, tell him to continue meditating and go take the paycheck." No? So, to be able to understand life holistically, when and where we have to do it. So very often you'll find that even though, thousands of people come, youngsters throughout the world, etc., yet the larger mass finds that, the corporate world is very different from the spiritual world.
Right.
Now, because of yoga and meditation, they're trying to integrate, but very often that yoga is only for looks, not even for physical health sometimes, sadly enough. No? But that yoga that unites you to your greater potential, that very often is not followed.
Has yoga become a fad, or most of these things have they become a fad?
Well, it's popularity, I would say. No? More than a fad, it's popularity, and it's a good thing. Even for good health or looks also, it is effective, it is good. No? Right. So one should practice it, but it has got a higher purpose. And all we have to do is see a higher vision in what we do. And when we see that, the same amount of work that we do, like for example, if yoga can give you good health and good looks, right? If that same amount of yoga is done with a higher goal in mind, then can you imagine its effectiveness? Now take that in every field of your life. Most people are in their professions, not even to express their potential as they were trying to look out for. Very often, it is only to earn an income. Right? But at the same time, besides earning our income, we put in so much effort for larger income. If only would also add to it the attitude of adding the well-being of my client, the well-being of my customer, not just the progress of my industry, but the progress of the nation itself.
True.
We don't have to do really anything extra.
Right.
The moment we have that awareness, we have that consciousness, we have that attitude, we have that sense of, I am part of the whole, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. When that attitude is there, what Krishna calls in the Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga, or this Yajna spirit, as is pointed out in the Vedas, where you do your action, you have your productivity, you express your potential and feel that you are, in a way, satisfied. But at the same time, your productivity goes to a great level and you're able to do a lot more for society, etc., with the same amount of effort that you put in, with just the right wisdom, right knowledge, and the right attitude, and the right thought process behind it, or even a change of thought. So when I was giving all the spiritual discourses, and when you're present there, there's a change of thought that takes place. The moment the transformation takes place, everything around you changes, be the change that you want to see.
You want to see,
But that happens because of the effort of the teacher, the guru, etc. And everybody's just looking out for that. Now, because we make them start thinking, people do practice. They try to understand and live that. Yet, the power of thought, the power of these knowledge bits that have been given, very often we do not see the effectiveness of it. So wanted to create a kind of a program where we actually do the exercises. First of all, what is it that we want, really speaking? We're not even clear about that. Everybody's searching for something. But what is it that we want? So understanding our want, needs, desires, goals, even that we don't spend time. We talk about goals, 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 but if you ask anybody, what is a goal?
You won't be able to say.
It's just having more and more is a goal. But that's not a goal.
That's not a goal, yeah.
That's even just being greedy, that's all. So what's the difference between a goal and being greedy?
Yeah.
So even that clarity is not there. Sometimes, even in the companies when we say goal, we're talking about greed, we're not talking about goal. We're talking about a linear progress, we're not talking about an expansion.
Right.
Yeah? So all these wonderful formulas have been given in our books of knowledge, like Yog Vashishta, Bhagavad Gita, in the works of course, Swami Chinmayananda himself. And even as a youngster, I used to keep on noting and trying to live and follow as much as I understood and could follow. These subtle messages that used to come through, powerful though, yet very often not grasped. I took those wonderful ideas that I learned from our Gurudev and from these great sources of knowledge that made great people the greatest.
Right.
That's the topic of my talks these days, are exceeding excellence.
Yeah.
So to do that, I bring the people together. Of course, it's an online course also, in very simple words, they do the exercises. But when I conduct these courses personally myself and train the people, and some of the ones who are training some of the largest companies in the world, may not be necessarily taking the title, make it happen, but I wanted to benefit maximum. So many of our youngsters who came, learned, developed themselves, you won't believe to what large companies they are taking, and they take only one module of it. And if they're called and given millions for motivating and guiding and tutoring their companies, can you imagine how much they must be making?
True.
Right?
Absolutely.
And there are some very simple things that you just change your thought pattern and you can change your complete, not only outlook of life.
It is so intriguing, sir. Could you give an example? Is it possible to give an example?
Okay, I'll just give you an example of this one person who's the one who now has taken his company globally and benefiting many, many large companies. And he keeps coming back. He's been a youngster attending all our Yuva Kendra camps. And I teach them all that openly. There's no hiding, there's not a course or any such thing.
Right.
So when I designed Make It Happen, he was the first one to come and take the course. And each time he saw a great leap in his career, in his personal life, and relationships, everything. So every time would push me that, Swamiji, let's have it again, let's have it again. And then he decided to give up his so-called very comfortable accountant job, and where of course you could, get a very good income, but that would be that's it.
Nothing beyond that.
Floated his own company. Started his own company, and he was very inspired. He wanted to motivate. He started in his city. He started in his country. He's abroad, so he started in his country, and every time he would come, to make his vision wider, to set higher goals for himself,
right,
at all levels, personal, spiritual, as well as. And finally he came up to me and he says, I have, with the previous sessions, taken my company globally. Yeah? And for him, globally meant that he finally took it to another country. 2 other cities of the world, and felt that the goals, and every time he sets the goals and he achieves it much better than what he even imagined in such a short time. So he said, last time I came, and I came with the intent of a global organization, and I must be able to reach out globally. Yeah. And I made him inquire, did some experiments with him, and suddenly he realized that his concept about global was very limited. See, that you take your company to 2-3 countries, that's not global.
That's not global at all.
Right? But for most people, it's global.
True.
So when you limit your thought about even a certain word in your mind, you're limiting your goal, and with that you limit your capacity. The moment I made him aware of it, what would you say, months, within weeks, he got global offers. And what he means to say is that what I used to always tell them, but you see, even after doing so many, he kept on expanding, but did not realize that if you keep high goals, but that high goal is not high enough in your mind.
Right.
So just a change of thought.
That can
Yeah.
change the entire perspective.
Yeah. It's not by saying, oh, globally I want to go into the entire world. But in your mind, so therefore the power of thought. And that is what our wonderful scriptures are pointing out to us. Change your way of thinking and your world changes.
That is so brilliantly explained, Swamiji. There's a book of yours which has a very fascinating title, Storm to Perform, almost like a Steven Spielberg movie or something. Storm to Perform.
I hope it becomes one day.
So, what is this book about?
Again, seeing in this world, whether in the spiritual development or in our material development for the well-being of the world. As you can see, even how Krishna inspired Arjuna. Now, storms of life, life is not always a breeze.
Yeah.
Life is not always that easy. For different reasons, difficulties, problems, crises might come, or storms may come in our life. Now, there are some people who get blown away by the storm. Some people hide in the storm. But there are some, like Benjamin Franklin, go out in the storm to harness the power of the storm.
Power, yes.
Yeah. So, what is our attitude towards the storms of life? How we can equip ourselves to face the storms of our life, to come and you bear any storm. Like you hear people who are lost in the sea.
Yeah.
Very ordinary. They thought they were very ordinary. And having gone through the difficulties, when they come out of there, they've understood what has been their potential. Very often we run and escape, like even Arjuna wanted to.
Escape, right.
When we have a challenging situation in front of us, or we have a difficult situation, or we are hit by some crisis. And this book came about when the world was going through the Great Recession in 2008 and the crisis that hit there. And, I had motivated a lot of young people that never feel low about it. And some of them, they took it with such enthusiasm. They actually, made it during that time, as you would say. So that's the time when I came up with this title, and to motivate and take examples of some of our youth only who made it happen. So I could give an example, it would be very hilarious. There was this young lady who has been there ever since she was a little child, so I know her, turned out to be a very, arrogant teenager, defiant and everything.
Brash.
But these are the people only who go and, they fight through life and all that, and then went and studied in the university abroad during difficult times when her father was going through, not job change, but was fired from the job. She studied, she barely graduated, went again abroad, made millions for herself in such a young age. And, but because she was so dedicated only to her work, suddenly she said, Swamiji, I have to find a life partner. and you have to find me. The best of youngsters come, so you have to find me a life partner. And she just before the market crash, and she was into the markets, she left the job. She just decided. She said, "I've made enough money now. Now I have to make my life." So she gave up that job, and she said, "I'm going to travel with you now." I said, "I normally travel alone, but okay." And I met her right after the recession in her city. And I said, "Aren't you glad that you got out of the market?" She said, "Swamiji, sorry. I know I have to make my life. And I wanted to travel with you to learn more for my spiritual upbringing. But this is the most exciting time." I said, "Tell me, what is this exciting time?" She said, "See, you only taught us that always see an opportunity in every calamity. So this is the time." She says, "Companies are collapsing." And this is wisdom I'm giving to everybody. I'm sharing it with everybody. Companies are collapsing because the markets have crashed. It's not that these companies are actually weak, or their staff is weak, or any such thing, or their vision is not there. It's because the whole markets have crashed. I'm into acquisitions. Right? I'm saving these companies, and I'm bringing companies that can take over at a very good price. These are the most exciting times for me. The storm of the world for her was
an opportunity, huge opportunity.
Huge opportunity, which she not only did for herself, but she went and many companies would be frightened at that time. Now, can you imagine that this person who we might think is insignificant globally, without even anybody knowing about them, did something so great?
Incredible.
So the whole thing is that how do we face the storms of our life? And in fact, turn them to be greater success for ourselves, develop ourselves. At the same time, having gained that knowledge, when we go into life, how can we storm to perform? I know grammatically it's a pun basically. It's a created word. That when we go in life, we don't go lethargic. As you were saying, when you met Swami Chinmayananda for the first time, every talk of his was so full of energy. It was full of such dynamism. Even in the last stages of his physical life, if you heard him, he was a roaring lion. There was not a moment of dullness. So inspired by him, that any life situation, that when we perform, we should perform like a storm. And we learned this from our epics. What tragedy hit Ayodhya? But when Ramchandraji went there, see how he stormed to perform.
Absolutely.
He didn't take that storm to fell. Why this to me? Why this to me?
Poor me.
Poor me, unfair.
मेरे साथ ही क्यों होता है?
Every situation, every difficulty he faced, that's when you see the hero Ram. That's where you see the heroine Sita.
Right. True.
That way you see brotherhood Lakshman. Other, where do you really actually know who's your true friend also?
True.
So not to be afraid of the storms of life, but storm in life.
Finally, after this hugely engaging discussion, interaction, if I can say that, could you give your words of advice to the people of Rourkela? Many of our employees, they have to face very challenging situations, tough situations. We have a small township which is like a mini India. What would be your words of advice to them?
As I always inspire people from this one word, half a statement, or one verse of the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Uddhared Atmanatmanam na Atmanam avasadayet. Lift yourself by yourself. Na Atmanam avasadayet. Do not underestimate yourself. Do not underestimate your potential. Do not look down upon yourself. And only when you do not look down upon yourself, you will not look down on anybody else. Each one of us is unique. Each one has our own potential. And there is an infinite self in each and every one of us. Infinite is our potential, and each one of us, having come into this world, has our own uniqueness, our own individual potential. And when we combine that individual potential with the totality, when we contribute our individual potential for the well-being of the totality, family, society, company, city, nation, world, as our vision expands and we stop just thinking about me as a small self, alone, victim of the world, but to know that I am the very limb of the totality, of that God with thousands of hands, thousands of legs, Sahasra Shirsha Purusha. And I am as important. A worm is as important in creation as is man. I am as important as anybody else. And I can do whatever I can do. And my little contribution also goes to make the whole total gain of the world. You yourself are your best friend, as Krishna says. You yourself are your deadliest enemy. You look down upon yourself and say, what can I do? And be victim of the storms of life. Then indeed you are a victim. But if you recognize your inner greatness, and in your recognition of your greatness, you can allow others also to be great. And together, there's a lot that we can achieve. As Krishna says, Parasparam bhavayanta shreyam paramavapsyata. The word cooperation is not some business title. But when we work in the spirit of dedication, cooperation, not only for our well-being, but for the well-being of the totality, change your vision of your limited self to a larger self and work with confidence, then you see the whole universe, as you've heard this very often now being told, the whole universe conspires to make it happen for you. Not only individual success will take place, but when the company is successful, when your country is successful, success comes in a golden platter and opportunities come on a golden platter to all of you. So think big, as I've given the motto even for our mission. Think big. Think Chinmaya. Chinmaya means think with a larger awareness. This is our name, Chinmaya. Not only our Gurudev who was like that, but a larger awareness, a larger identity. And the moment you start doing it, it's unbelievable what in a short time we can do for ourselves and for our nation.
Well, viewers, what else can I say? I usually am accused of being extremely loquacious and garrulous, but today I'm at a complete, absolute, total loss for words. The last some minutes have completely fascinated me, enchanted me, and I'm sure you too have been mesmerized by the wisdom, by the thought process and the ideas of Swamiji. I would like to just give a few or share a couple of takeaways. One is, each one of us has to think, to quote Swamiji, I am the limb of totality. Such a beautiful expression. Each of us has to believe that we can storm to perform. And finally, each of us has to think big. Thank you very much, Swamiji. Thank you so much. Jai Jagannath.
Jai Jagannath.